Welcome to The Conservative Edge. I'm Dr. Joe Coury, your host. This show is about substance on each and every issue. Today's issue, homelessness in America. Homelessness is a curse on a country that is truly democratic, caring, committed to show and sustain the best in its people, and to the rule of law. No aspect of human life has been degraded, undermined, abused, marginalized, and been most destructive to the human spirit like homelessness has, especially when it becomes a way of life. We must recall the Sermon on the Mount by Jesus Christ and the words of the great Shanakaya. You need to be compassionate if you want to experience divine grace. These and other similar words of wisdom underlie our interest in this very complex subject. Homelessness is not uniform in terms of its nature, causes, duration, impact, and solutions at the various levels of government. It requires the involvement of everyone who cares about the welfare of a fellow human being, and of many institutions that have expertise in psychology, urban decay, race relations, the causes of poverty and its effect on children, drug addiction and recovery, public health, sociology, security of streets and of neighborhoods, and the effectiveness of government help. The problem of homelessness has gotten worse despite massive government spending on it. More funds are poured on the problem by government at all levels: civic organization, religious organization, police and clearing services, only to see the problem getting worse. Here we shall focus on the size of the problem, the various measures adopted by the federal government and in various states and cities. The focus shall be on the feds, California, and the city of Los Angeles. Let us first define a homeless person. It is anyone who has no regular place to sleep, who lives in a shelter, an armory, a welfare hotel, or a halfway house, or another person's home, or lives in places not considered normal or accommodating in terms of safety, hygiene, nutrition, and the semblance of what is considered normal and stable. A lobby, a bus station, a hallway, a car, a subway station, or on the streets. Over 500,000, actually 580,000 in America, are chronically homeless. About 160,000 of them are in California, the largest homeless population after New York City. They are dependent on the federal government, the state government, city government, some NGOs, civil societies, and religious charities. They invariably live in squalor condition, some in areas surrounded by incredible wealth and upscale neighborhood. They are victims of indifference and resentment by some, and live often outside the boundaries of reason and the reach of the law. Some people wish they did not exist, and others are tired of them flaunting public decency and the law by consuming drugs openly, pitching tents where they please, and defecating in the streets. A citizen can be arrested for smoking crack cocaine, but a homeless person is giving free pipes to smoke it in public and to deal in it. Their profile suggests a large variety skewed toward lower standards at all levels. Their life expectancy is 50 years. 13,000 of them die every year. 61% of them are men or boys, and 20% are kids. 90% of them are 24 or older, and 3.2% only are 62 years or older. Grouped by ethnicity, Asians have the least homeless, followed by whites, Hispanic, multiracial, Native Americans, blacks, and Pacific Islanders. Homelessness is not victimless. The homeless is a victim often well beyond his ability to detect how serious is his condition. The children are invariably victims. The communities where they congregate are victims, as are their families who wish they were not touched by the scourge of this self-neglect. Governments at all levels seem to be grappling for solutions. Some have discovered temporary ones, and many are getting sick and tired of searching for ones. Capitalism does not produce homelessness. I've been to many communist countries, and homelessness is experienced there often at a larger scale, but is usually kept from public sight. We now look at the data relating to homelessness and the various programs at all levels of government that purport to deal with it. We will be brief, as there is a plethora of programs that are intended to correct homelessness and elevate those affected by it. There are numerous government programs that deal with every aspect of homelessness. There has been no final and decisive answer for it. They range from soup kitchen, run mostly by religious organizations, to massive construction program financed primarily by the federal government. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development has numerous programs and carries the major economic burden. It estimates that the cost to society of a person living in the street is about $40,000. And yet this expenditure has not reduced homelessness nor removed the homeless from America's streets. We shall examine now some of these programs supported by public funds. These are the benefits that a homeless person may receive from the various levels of government entities. The 2021 budget of the Department of Housing and Urban Development provided $10.7 billion to 50 housing and homelessness-related programs. It also provides flexible aid to local government to address homelessness. The funds directed at homelessness were $7.26 billion. They dropped to $4.6 billion in the year 2022-2023 budget and would almost disappear in the following year. The funds were targeted mostly at expanding affordable housing and its preservation. The primary responsibility for the homelessness resides in the states, the cities, and local authorities. However, the federal government contributes in many other ways. And let us see how. 1. Social Security insurance. If you receive it, you can also gain access to subsidized housing. 2. Medicare and Medicaid benefits for those with income less than 138% of the poverty level. To qualify, you do not need a physical address. That's an interesting point. 3. Supplemental nutrition assistance to buy food. 4. The Department of Health and Human Services provides health care for the homeless and grants for homeless individuals. They specifically target those with mental illness and substance abuse. 5. Temporary housing for needy families, referred to as TANF, provides monthly income so families can pay for clothing, fuel, housing, utilities, medication, and other items necessary for life. Additional programs target the youth and young children. They include transitional living, programs for older youth greater than 18, street outreach programs, child support, enforcement, which promotes self-sufficiency and child well-being, family violence, prevention, Head Start, temporary assistance for needy families, Child Care and Development Fund. About 1.5 million received child care subsidy, Title V federal real property, and other programs focus on the health care and the substance abuse factors and mental health services. These are very important. Let's look at the state. The state of California had about 160,000 homeless in 2021, and the numbers continue to rise. It will spend a record $4.8 billion starting in July 2021 to alleviate homelessness. The funds spent on homelessness have not stemmed its rise. The homeless were 129,000 in California in 2018. The programs are geared toward providing temporary housing for the homeless and toward preventing evictions. CalWorks Home Assistant HA program helps with temporary shelter to the homeless. They pay $85 per day for 16 days to meet temporary shelter needs. Depending on family size, the daily allowance can reach $145 per day. The HA program also helps families secure housing and prevent eviction. The latter allows for a security deposit, last month's rent, and 2 months in arrearage. The universal credit system is paid monthly to those out of work or low income or are homeless. They receive monthly check and must be 18 or older. the payments include housing cost. Centerpoint is another program that pays certain benefits, especially rent and furniture and moving and maintenance costs. In addition, Centerpoint offers very valuable training services. They help in finding work experience, develop key life skills, and receive guidance on CV writing. All these programs are costly. The state of California has spent $15 billion in 2019, 20, and 21. The annual expenditure is about $4 billion. They include block grants to the county and local governments. Governor Newsom's latest and very ambitious, I must say, some say unrealistic plan, is to spend $12 billion to tackle the issue of homelessness. This investment is expected to provide 65,000 people with housing placement, more than 300,000 people with housing stability, and create 46,000 new housing units. Now, we've heard that story before. We certainly wish him the best. Thus far, we have not included other costs associated with homelessness. The city of Bakersfield Police Department, for example, estimated the annual cost of homelessness for the department, this is one department, rounds out to about $2.1 million. The city of Los Angeles now is an interesting case because it has a serious housing issues. Mayor Eric Garcetti signed in June 2021 the city's $11.2 billion budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022, which allocates historic spending of nearly $1 billion to combat Los Angeles homelessness crisis. The so-called American Rescue Plan allocates $151 million to programs related to equity and justice, and $281 million for homelessness services. Nuri Martinez, council president, commented on the budget. He said, "It lays the foundation for ongoing efforts to address systemic inequities." It is hard to see how the first allocation, that is systemic equity, impact people living on the streets. Further, how the $280 million is spent matters very much. San Francisco, for example, is distributing crack pipes and allocating quarters for convenient drug consumption instead of leading drug-dependent homeless person to rehab programs and trying to cut assistance to those who refuse. The larger question remains, as always, how well the money has been spent and why homelessness continues to rise has largely to do with efficiency and accountability. Our proposed solutions. The emphasis on housing availability is critical to the solution of the homelessness problem. But it is an incomplete answer, as it gets the homeless off the street and puts them behind walls out of the public view and gives the appearance of a problem solved. However, all the embedded problems that produce homelessness, like drug addiction, no job training, no job, abuse of wives and children, idleness that breeds contempt, the long-term dependency on government in most aspects of life, mental illness that is often undetected, ignored, or not treated, and the social isolation as the ladder of success in life seems to be permanently out of reach to the homeless. But no matter the walls of separation that keep the homeless out of public view, you will find them on the streets, selling drugs, buying drugs, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and flaunting the law and public safety in numerous ways. Streets will be strewn with their needles and feces. Some may well prefer to return to the street, as homelessness defines their false sense of freedom and their preferred vagabond and likely rebellious souls. Further, they have gotten used to making their own rules and carrying a reckless lifestyle in public outside the reach of the law. Some municipalities do not allow their police to stop clearly illegal use of drugs and dealing in drugs while arresting a regular citizen who pays taxes, lives generally by the rules, and who is not receiving public assistance, but may have used banned substance occasionally. My friends, the soft approach to the homeless is creating an underclass of groups that flaunt the law and are being rewarded for it in numerous ways that undermine a civilized and caring society. Distributing crack pipes to them is absolutely the wrong approach. It only compounds their miserable existence. The answer to the homelessness is tough love, and that is what we recommend. 1. If you receive public assistance, especially housing, you must submit to regular drug tests. The free housing you are receiving cannot be a den for drug use. If you are caught injecting drugs, you will be arrested and required to go to rehabilitation. 2. Family counseling. If there is evidence of wife and or child abuse, you must go to counseling. 3. Required treatment for mental illness. Let me pause here for a minute. We applaud Governor Newsom, who issued a statement on March the 3rd, stating that he's setting up a special court. The judge will decide whether a homeless person with a mental issue will have to go for treatment and must take their medicine. And if they violate the judge's order, then they will be sent to jail. There are not many things I agree with Governor Newsom. This bold step he's taking will address in a big way many of the homeless issues in this country, and especially in the state of California. Our proposed solution. Number 4, job training to develop those skills that allow you and your family to be self-sufficient and get off dependency on government handouts. Number 5, incarceration if you refuse to abide by the above requirements, and possibly removal from contact with the children if they exist. 6, allow regular inspection of your living quarters to confirm that you are living in minimally health acceptable conditions. 7, regular contact with your social worker, whose job it is to help you overcome difficulties that you are not capable or refusing to deal with. America must take care of its people on their road to achieving a life of a citizen that is responsible for his lifestyle and success and contributing to the society at large. I'm Dr. Joe Corey. Please watch future episodes, and we have already about 54, 55 shows. You go on YouTube, watch them, watch the one you like, of course, and please follow us because we have a lot to say about many other issues, domestic and international. I hope people are listening, especially policymakers. Thank you all for your attention, and God bless.